This renovation, like all others presented on our channel, is supervised by the Austrian Institute for Building Insulation.
I am here with the owner of the company, and here we have the beautiful NCT crystal. Here we have a beautiful bag of NCTCEM thermal insulation mortar. What are they used for? To avoid interfering too much with the historic building, to avoid making holes in it, as Bogdan tells us, with respect for the monument for history, and this year marks the 200th anniversary of this beautiful historic cellar. I would like to invite you to take a look at this product to see how well you can waterproof without interfering with the walls of the building. I am extremely satisfied and glad, Bogdan, that we were able to meet, because I lost sleep for several nights due to the water and damp in this cellar.
As we mentioned, the building is very old.
200 years this year.
Yes, it was very wet inside. There was actually water standing on the floors. Hadn't it been about a month? All these walls you can see here,
I confirm.
it is plain to see that they are now dry.
Here in a moment, bowling equipment and snooker tables will appear, my dear friends.
So we secured the walls. It is also worth mentioning that by injecting chemicals, which are normally used on walls, and the product is strictly mineral, it is a plaster that protects and strengthens the walls.
Not only do I recommend this waterproofing method to you, but I also invite everyone to come and see that these products really work. Because I was skeptical at first when Bogdan explained to me that a coating would be applied. Of course, it was done by his company's employees, for which I am also very grateful. I would also like to thank David, who worked on the renovation of our historic building. NCT has shown that it is possible to stop water, I will repeat this again, without damaging the walls of the building, and that is the greatest value. Because nowadays everyone just drills and performs chemical injections, and after another 2 years the water problem returns. With the NCT method, we have a 10-year guarantee, which means that the effect is great and the customer is happy.
Thank you for the additional order as well.
Yes, sir.
More waterproofing mortar will arrive tomorrow, so we will soon be able to proceed with the next stages of drying out the building. Thank you for this opportunity.
Bogdan, I think that after the water damage has been repaired, this property will be a great showroom for your company in this part of Poland. Especially since you have plans to enter the Polish market on a larger scale. You can always come here and see if it really works, touch it yourself to check if the walls are dry. I would like to invite everyone, come and see for yourselves, because the NCT method worked in my building. Thank you, Bogdan.
Thank you very much as well.
We will discuss a truly large, complex and labour-intensive investment project, the aim of which was to adapt a historic cellar, a former winery with an area of 1,500 square metres, into a professional snooker hall. The name of the facility is the European Snooker Centre, and indeed, it is one of the largest of its kind in Europe. According to the owner's plans, the World Championships in this sport are to be held there soon, and the facility itself is located in Zielona Góra at 16 Moniuszki Street in Poland. Why were we chosen as the contractor for the waterproofing works? The investment supervisor was obliged to announce an official tender for the waterproofing of a basement, plagued by constant leaks caused by capillary action and the pressure of groundwater and rainwater on its walls. Leading companies submitted their repair bids, offering the traditional method of spot chemical injection and insulating slurry. However, none of the candidate contractors wanted to guarantee the effectiveness of their proposed method for more than 2 years, fearing the financial consequences of failing to meet the technical conditions of the repair after that period. Furthermore, none of the companies wanted to formally assure the investor that the chemicals used in the mortars and ceiling injections, approximately 3,500 pieces, would not pose a threat to the users of the facility. This was an important condition. The snooker club runs a foundation that trains young people in this sport. The remaining question was whether 3,500 injection holes would weaken the structure, but this question remained unanswered. Then, under pressure from the complicating situation, the investment supervisor found our NCT mineral mortar method on the internet. He also asked us for a quote. They considered the financial terms we presented to be more favourable than those offered so far, and most importantly, after conducting a technical audit of water damage in the basement, we committed ourselves to the investor without hesitation that they would receive a guarantee from us that was not 2 years, but 5 times longer, i.e. 10 years. Although in practice we are sure that our waterproofing will prove itself over a much longer period, the problem with the brick basement was the high horizontal pressure of water on the external walls, especially at a height of approximately 2 meters and in the corners near the floor. But that was not all. Another problem was caused by moisture migrating vertically upwards into the walls, i.e. capillary action. As a result, water was literally pouring out of the masonry partitions onto the floor. The market offers were similar and predicted that approximately 3,000 horizontal chemical injections would be required to block the harmful phenomenon. However, the investor's supervisor, due to the fact that no guarantee of service effectiveness for more than 2 years was provided, decided to look for another technical solution. That is how they found us. Unlike others, our offer did not include mortars with organic chemical compounds. We also announced immediately that we would provide a 10-year guarantee. Most importantly, our proposal did not involve spot insulation, but full surface insulation in 3 layers, so that the walls could withstand water pressure. Knowing that we were dealing with capillary action in the basement, we also included mineral waterproofing of the wall foundation in the service by chiseling under it, as well as into the old, wet floor at the junction of both partitions, i.e. vertical and horizontal. During this work, we cut vertical channels to a great depth, from 40 to 60 centimeters, i.e. down to the foundation footings. Interestingly, the first channels were 20 centimeters deep, but as the work progressed, it turned out that the footings went down even lower, i.e. to the aforementioned 60 centimeters. While digging into the floor, we also discovered why the effects of capillary action are so intense. Several decades earlier, a German contractor had first laid bricks flat on their wider side in a layer and then built basement walls on top of them. The absorbent ceramics quickly succumbed to water, and over time, this effect began to intensify. To ensure adequate insulation from below, but also to protect the old floor from water, we carved channels up to 15 centimeters wide. In this way, we extended the vertical insulation under the floor and created a barrier of sufficient thickness. Our mortars not only work on the surface, but also penetrate the walls. The greater thickness of such insulation is therefore important in that it accelerates the process of petrification of the adjacent masonry structures. In other words, the water present in them crystallizes faster. In the case of the brick used to build the basement, the rate is as high as 7 millimeters per month. This excellent result has been confirmed by laboratory tests conducted by the Vienna University of Technology. Now, here is an important thing to note during this and similar repairs. In the basement in question, the water pressure was highest, in accordance with the laws of physics, at its lowest point. And to prevent the water from attacking the screed covered with carpet on which snooker tables stand, and let's add that there is also a modern automated bowling alley in the basement, it was very important to block this water so that the entire facility would not be flooded. We did this by creating a B25 concrete ring around the floor, which we mixed with our NCTCEM mortar to improve its waterproofing properties. In this way, we created complete insulation, extending deep into the basement foundation wall. Thanks to this waterproofing barrier connected to the wall and floor, it was no longer necessary to lay a horizontal screed throughout the entire building. It is easy to imagine how much this saved in costs. In addition to sealing the walls from below, the investor asked us to finish all vertical surfaces in an aesthetic manner because, as we mentioned, prestigious sporting events are to be held in the facility. For this purpose, we applied a layer of Thermolime active thermal insulation lime plaster to the walls, which partially regulates the humidity in the room and also protects the walls from water pressure. The entire service was very extensive. We carried it out in 3 stages. During this time, it became clear that the scope of work proposed by other companies had been underestimated. Already during the work, it turned out that the waterproofing work would cover almost twice as many square meters of wall and floor space as initially anticipated. In addition, in the basement technical room, filled to the brim with electronic equipment, an additional leak in the ceiling came to light. And to prevent water from seeping in from above, we also had to seal the problematic area with mineral mortars. During this work, it turned out that the steel trusses of the ceiling were very corroded, so we also had to protect them from further damage. We are proud of this project and are delighted that our method was chosen to restore the building to full functionality. We would like to mention that the work we carried out was supervised by the Restoring Old Beauty Foundation and the Conservator of Monuments, which further enhances the prestige of this project.